Hey, it's me, Bobbert, and this is my retrospective review of Klonoa Door to Phantomile for the Wii and PlayStation 1. I never played the original PlayStation version before when it first came out, but I did get the Wii version and eventually went back to the original. Is this cult classic still a great platformer? And if so, which version should you get? Let's find out. Klonoa was directed by Hideo Yoshizama and developed by Namco. Yoshizama was known for the Ninja Gaiden series on the NES. His original idea was to have this robot as the main character and he would defeat enemies with an iron ball. They went with a more cute design to help stand out from the more realistic games from the PlayStation during that time, and pretty much that's where Klonoa came from, taking an animal character, or two in this case, and pretty much making it like your average mascot platformer, like, compared to Sonic or Mario. As for the backstory for the Wii version, now called Bandai Namco was planning to redesign Klonoa to make him a bit more edgier, but fans were not pleased and convinced the company to keep the original model. I first heard about Klonoa around 2008, that it was a cult classic platformer on the PlayStation, and I looked online for more info. I found the sequel on the PS2 for $5 by the way, and decided to try it out. The game was awesome, and I was even more hyped for the remake, and that's when I pre-ordered at GameStop. The version I recorded is the Wii version, while the PlayStation 1 footage you see right here I took from Little Long Play because I can't record any footage on my PlayStation 3. I did play both versions, but you're probably going to see more of the Wii version since that is my recording. Let's first talk about the differences between each version. The graphics are obviously different, and the biggest change you're going to notice, I think the cutscenes are more charming in the PlayStation 1 version compared to the Wii, which is good, but pretty standard in today's gaming. Like I said earlier, I never owned the original PlayStation, never played Klonoa when it first came out. Heck, I barely played any PlayStation game in general, but looking at the original, it does give me a bit of nostalgia, and it's charming despite not aging too well in some areas. The dialogue also changed a little bit. It seems in the Wii version, Hupo has more lines while Klonoa speaks a little bit less. Also, there's English voice acting in the Wii version, but you can change it to the original Phantomile language from PlayStation 1. The voice acting is pretty good for the most part, except for Klonoa. It's not bad, just miscast. The Wii version have him sound more like a teenager, while the original PlayStation, he's obviously a little kid. Yes, it's the costume change. The original had red shorts and a collar, while the Wii version have him wearing a red shirt and shorts. I guess they changed it because the Wii version had that outfit, and having Klonoa wear the original in his 3D model looks weird. At least to me, it does. But you can have the original costume and the costume change if you want to. Klonoa is a 2D platformer with some 3D elements. Klonoa's main ability is grabbing enemies and using them in various ways. You can use them as a weapon, gives you a double jump, or draw them to the foreground and background. They're mostly used for platforming and combat, with some occasional puzzle sections, and I'm using puzzles in quotation marks. But the game mechanic works pretty fine. The range of your wind board is pretty good in the Wii version, but feels a bit short in the PlayStation 1 version. The formula is simple, but they keep it fresh by experimenting with the level design and enemy use. Like sometimes you need to grab multiple enemies and jump to get to higher locations, and use enemies that has different abilities like the bombs and those little enemies that can make you fly a bit higher. Unfortunately, they don't really expend too much on that idea because most enemies, despite having different appearance and attack patterns, pretty much does the same. Just grab them and you can get like an extra jump. The story of the game is what people remember the most. It focused on Klonoa, who is a happy, cheerful kid, and his childhood friend Hupo. They heard a crash outside and decided to investigate it. When they got there, they saw the two antagonists of the game, Joker and Guardius, steering the Songstress Device. After the first battle, Klonoa and Hupo found a moon pendant, which is an item that Guardius was looking for, and took it to Klonoa's grandpa's house. Now both Klonoa and Hupo need to go to each kingdom to stop Joker and Guardius' plan and seek help from each of the kingdom's leader, which are also struggling from Guardius and Joker. The story seemed pretty basic at first. It seems like your standard story, just like in a regular Mario or Sonic game, but things does take a bit of a dark turn in the middle of the game. When Joker finds out about the moon pendant location, he travels to Klonoa's grandpa's house and Brood are holding up and killing him in the process. Having a parent and guardian, dying in kids media in general isn't a brand new thing. Just pretty much look at your basic animated Disney movie, but in video games, it wasn't too common, at least not in consoles. And there's also one big moment, but I'll save it later to the end. And of course, just a reminder, there's going to be spoilers. The levels in this game are great. Visually, it's probably the best looking Wii game on that console, while the PlayStation version looks pretty good as well. I love each theme that's going on, like the water level, where the waterfall goes in reverse, the leaves in the grass areas where you can use them as platform, and enemies changing depending whether if it's day or night in the Sun Kingdom. And I love how Klonoa goes back and forth to each kingdom and the changes that made when you're following the story. Like when you enter the Grass Kingdom for the first time, everything looks all redder and the grass is dying. But after defeating the Water Kingdom and going back to the Grass Kingdom, the flowers are blooming. The only disappointment I had was the level. It never took full advantage of drawing enemies to the foreground and background. Originally, I thought this game would be more of a puzzle element platformer, and they do in some areas, to be fair, but I feel like they were focusing more on the platforming first, and which is still fine, but I was hoping they would have got a little bit more creative with the drawing enemies into foregrounds and backgrounds. The bosses were fun, even if the majority was pretty easy. Well, I have to be honest, the boss battle is probably the weakest part of the game, except for the battle against Joker and Guardius, even with all the faces, especially with Guardius and his intimidating voice, at least in the original PlayStation version with the Phantomile voices. I think that character comes out as pretty creepy, while in the Wii version it doesn't really translate well except if you switch back to the Phantomile voice, at least you get that. But Guardian's boss battle is definitely worth going through all the other easy stuff. Now to the end of the story. Before getting to the Moon Kingdom, Hupo revealed himself to be the prince and knows about Klonoa's secret. It's so secret that even Klonoa himself doesn't know about it. Now fast forward to the end of the game, after Guardius is defeated and we rescue the Songstress Device, Hupo finally told Klonoa that this is all a dream, Phantomile doesn't really exist, and Klonoa pretty much has to go home to wherever he came from. He's pretty much a dream traveler. This shocks Klonoa, of course, and when the Songstress Device sings a song, Klonoa is sent back to his world, not knowing if he ever come back to Phantomile ever again. It's really rare to see a game end on a sad ending and not give the player like another ending a happier ending. Like most games, at least from my experience, has the traditional hero saves a day, or at the very least, two different endings depending on the situations to get them. Like in Five Nights at Freddy's sister locations, that has two endings, one real, one fake. Of course, horror games end on a sad note, like Phantasmagoria and Dark Sea 2. But those are horror games. But in kids media, it's usually your standard hero saves the day, and I think it's pretty ambitious that Namco made this decision to not have a completely happy ending, and it really left an impact on whoever played this originally. And I can see how this game sticks to them throughout these years. When I first did a review for this game on my Brip account, the video was deleted unfortunately. I liked it, but it was just an okay game. Now that time has passed and I replayed both versions for this video, I have a much better appreciation for this game. Playing the original PlayStation has some charm and nostalgia to it, and I was even impressed on what the game did on a technical level. The Wii version was pretty much the same with some modification like expanding the rainbow length and of course the graphics. You can't go wrong with either version, but if I had to make a recommendation, I say download it on the PlayStation Network. It's easier to access and probably cheaper too, at least according to eBay prices. Now onto the sales. Sales wise are equal, but both versions tells a completely different story. First with the PlayStation version, it sold about 180,000 copies according to VGCharts.com or .org. And for a game that didn't get much advertising, it's pretty good. And this is only in the country of Japan. It doesn't really talk about American or European sales, so the numbers could actually be pretty higher. Onto the Wii version, it sold 160,000, which doesn't sound too terrible at first, considering that game didn't get too much advertising, but the game didn't have a great start. Its first week was about 5,798, again according to VG charts, and that's just in Japan, and sales for the rest of the world didn't get much better. Ever since, Klonoa went silent for the most part, and even though we hear some rumors here and there, it seems like the Klonoa series is pretty much on hiatus. I would talk more about that, but that's another story for another video. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for my retrospective review of Klonoa 2 and talk about a little bit of the history of the other games that came after it. And if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe. I got plenty of other retrospective, also some versus video and regular reviews, and let's play a little bit of everything video game related pretty much. And I hope you like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you think about my videos. This is me, Bobbert, and I catch you guys later.